Alright, welcome to part 2. We're continuing where we left off at. In our first episode, we created the middle section of the entertainment set. And the last thing that we really need to add on here is the drawer, the cabin, oh man, no, knobs. Alright, so we're going to do that with a circle. I don't know how I kind of almost forgot what those were called. Alright, so we're going to align that to view. Scale it down. We're going to scale it down some more. Still kind of eyeballing everything. Now, these aren't really too big. There's like 2 on each side. So we're just going to put it right there. Go and tab into edit mode with control and tab. And we're just going to scale it down just a little bit. So we're going to add a face. And then we're going to rotate our view. Extrude it going backwards. And we're going to position our camera in the side view. We're going to scale it. Just a hair. Then we're going to extrude, but we're going to cancel it this time and scale it. And then we're going to extrude now. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to put it in there a little bit. Alright, now that's looking good to me. So we're going to Shift D to duplicate, constrain on our x-axis, and we're just going to position it in place. Now the next thing that we do, let's go into our tools and change our shading to smooth. Not really going to worry about how it looks. We'll definitely fix that afterwards. And so now we're going to add a mirror. Now once again our mirror is acting up because our location, rotation, and scale numbers haven't been applied to it. So usually this will be like 1, and these 2 sections will be 0. So in order to fix that, we're going to apply them with Control A, apply our location, apply our rotation, and apply our scale. Now it looks like our normals got a little jacked up. And one last thing to really fix this up that I forgot to do. Just in case if you've never used this tool before, this is how you use it. This is the grid fill. And as simple as that. It fills everything inside for you. So initially to use it, you want to select a loop and then Control F, grid fill. And you can modify how it looks. With F6, you can change the spans, how many subdivisions you want in there. But 2 works for us. Alright, so we're good with that. And we're just going to check that for safety measures. Alright, so now we're going to start on the next part. And we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to, since it's mirrored across, so we only have to model it 1 time. So we're going to add a cube. Make sure that it's on our grid floor. Just line it up a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scale this out because it is pretty big. Now I don't want to try to eyeball this too much, so I'm going to use my magnet or snapping tool, and then I'm going to change my snap element to vertex. Now I'm going to constrain it. I'm going to constrain my selection on the z-axis, and I'm going to select that vertex. And I'm going to do the same here. Just snap it, and then select the vertex, and bam, there you go. So before we do anything, we're going to add the mirror modifier. and we're going to apply our location, rotation, and scale just to be on the safe side. Now we know that there's going to be a cut, of course, along here and one along here, but for this part up here we can just get a good estimate of how it's going to be. So let's extrude this, and let's see, 3 blender units. Let's see, is that fine? Yep, 3 blender units would definitely work for this. So we're just going to add 3 and 3, and there we go. Now we're going to modify our, let's take my snapping off. We're going to modify this and make it a bit bigger. About right there is fine. And we're going to modify this as well. It's not really going to mess too much up with what we have. Or actually a faster way. Well, I guess it'll still work. We can still get it without snapping it. I would use the snap tool, but I have to remember that our topology isn't really crisp right now, so there may be some issues going on with that. So we're just gonna, for now, just do it the manual way. Alright, so that's a simple fix. So now what we're gonna do, we're going to start creating some more custom shapes to add in this inner detail, but we're gonna have to go about it a different manner. So we're going to use a cube, and we're going to make sure we have it roughly in the center. Just adjust it a little bit. Now we're just going to make sure there's a little bit of an edge on the side for us. So we're not, I mean, the point of using a reference image is, just so that you'll know how to shape it, but you don't really have to follow it that much to a T, since we don't really have a lot of reference images. It's just one perspective shot. So the next thing to do is to add a bevel, and this is going to help with getting this inner part right here, but you'll see in a second, once I finish setting it up, of what I'm talking about and why I'm using this. Alright, so we're going to extrude, cancel, then we're going to extrude it going out on both sides. Now, instead of me just duplicating this the regular way with Shift D, we're going to use a array modifier, and we're going to put this first setting to 0, and then we're going to use the third one. Now we're going to roughly position it in place. Now it's about 1, 2, 3, I'll say 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, kinda. So I'm gonna add 4. I can always fix these the other shape. Alright, so these two are good. So now with the bottom one, press L to select that whole thing. We're going to make that match this one. So we can do that easily by selecting this, selecting all these vertices, put our snapping back on. The shortcut key is Shift Tab. And we're just going to snap it right to the vertice. And we're going to do the same thing with the bottom. Alright, so that's pretty good. And with here, we're going to do the exact Actually, right here, we can kind of just put a straight box in there, because it's going to be the exact same design as this one, but we're just going to apply these ones first. Oh, and I guess our mirror modifier is fine for now, so let's add that, and voila, we have our detail. Now, it may be a little too thick, perhaps, so we're going to modify it in edit mode. Alright, yep, that looks good. And we're going to have to fix this area over here. Well, let me see. So this is supposed to go in the right spot. Well, our design, we can deviate a little bit from our design. It'll still look pretty decent. So we're going to move this on top, and we're going to OK our boolean, and we're still going to keep our mirror modifier, and we're going to delete this brush. So it's still not bad. I mean, it did a somewhat decent job. Alright, so now we just got to worry about putting this drawer in, which would be very simple to do. I'm just going to do it with a Q. And I'm going to use my snapping settings to snap it along here to make sure that we're still following our same design on the other side. Okay, so we match this one up with here. See, this is a good thing about the snapping tool. Definitely a good use for it. So now I'm going to move this forward, and I'm going to modify it. Actually, I'm going to bring it all the way through, and we could just add a face for there. So now let's apply our mirror modifier to it. I mean our boolean. All right. So now let's move that to the top. Apply it. Now delete the brush. And last but not least, well, let's make sure we don't have any doubles. Alright, so that's good. So now we're going to close that face off. Oh, and we need to recalculate the normal. Hold Shift N. Recalculate our normals. So now what we can possibly do is copy this with Shift D. Turn my snapping off and get rid of this mirror modifier so that we only have to do it once. Alright, and so our dimensions are kind of off, but the good thing is we have our snapping tool, so we're just going to snap it. Well, I just turned it off. We just turn it back on. Alright, and that'll make our lives very easy. We just move it over here, snap it, turn it off. Now let's see what we've got. Now we just got to modify how far in our drawer is. Pretty big drawer. Oh, and I forgot the bottom. So we're going to snap the bottom as well. There we go. Now that makes perfect sense. Oh, I don't know how I did that. Alright, so I'm going to re-duplicate that. Turn my snapping off. Sorry for the mistake, everybody. Alright, so I'm just going to quickly adjust this real fast. Which won't really take much. Which won't take very long. Oops. Okay. Right about there is fine. And now I just apply the mirror modifier once more and apply our location, rotation, and scale. And lastly, we make sure I duplicate it this time. Cancel it. And just move it over here. You can have 2 on yours if you like. I'm just going to keep mine as being 1. So I'm going to delete this part. Make sure it's right about in position. Alright, so we got to add another mirror modifier. And we're going to do the same thing. Apply our location, rotation, and scale. And we're going to add this to our selection with Control J. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. So now we still got to do one more thing, and then we can get to the TV. But I'll probably adjust that in the next video, and I'll explain what I did. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and look forward to modeling the this interesting TV. Not this one, but a different model. Alright, so hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to the next one.